Idaho Backroads, brought to you by Hammer Down River Excursions.
Welcome back. For the last 2 decades, fishing for salmon on the South Fork of the Salmon River was a 4th of July tradition for hundreds of Idaho anglers.
Well, this year managers say they won't even get enough fish to achieve hatchery goals. But as Steve Liebenthal reports in tonight's Idaho Backroads, Native Americans are trying to harvest a small number of South Fork summer Chinook.
See them boys in the river? You can jab.
These members of the Shoshone-Bannock tribe are preparing for a traditional ritual, fishing for summer Chinook salmon on the South Fork of the Salmon River. But while we were watching, they found no fish in the holes where salmon usually swim in early July. And they remember the masses of fish that filled the river not too long ago.
This whole river right here, black. From this way all the way around the bend, man, that's like once in a lifetime thing to see.
The river was closed to sport anglers for more than 30 years, but that changed in 1997 when Salmon Returns started to rebound. By 2001, it seemed everyone was catching salmon here, sometimes 2 or more at a time, even young kids landing trophies, and lining the banks of the South Fork became a 4th of July tradition for many. That was exactly 18 years ago. The people you saw in that photo were lined up right there along that cliff, hoping to catch one of the hundreds of salmon that were swimming around in this big, deep pool. In 2003, the trap where managers hold hatchery fish before spawning could not handle the numbers coming in.
There were too many. There was one day around the beginning of July, in 2003, I think we counted 450 fish that we let into the trap, and we had to just stop letting them in.
But on July 4th this year,
we have 5 right now.
Fish and Game predicts the entire return to the South Fork in 2020 will be right around the 450 that filled the trap in around a half hour 17 years ago. All of Idaho's salmon species are returning at alarmingly low rates. Managers say they can't explain everything impacting this year's run, but they say ocean warming off the west coast has become a major problem.
And it really changes the food resources that are available to those fish when they first get to the ocean. And so if you have less food out there just overall, and the food that's out there is less nutritious, it affects early survival in the ocean.
The fish that returned to this river took a major hit a few years ago when the combination of heavy rain and a fire-charred landscape led to mud flowing into the trap.
We had a big mudslide, killed all of our fish practically.
Salmon returns in Idaho were once among the largest in the world, and fish advocates believe removing 4 dams from the lower Snake River would give them a fighting chance in years when they are up against a warm ocean and other lethal conditions. Tribal members, saddened by the dwindling returns, also blame the dams.
It's heartbreaking to know that it's disappearing.
But they remain hopeful that someday the river will look like it did less than 20 years ago.
The salmon have their cycles, and hopefully there'll be a year when the water will be black again.
Under the Stevens Treaty of 1865, the Nez Perce tribe has fishing rights on the South Fork that were confirmed in this century by a federal court. They say they'll allow tribal members to take 10 or 11 fish from the South Fork. The Shoban tribe started fishing the South Fork when their traditional salmon runs were blocked by the Idaho power dams in Hells Canyon. Those fish swam all the way into northern Nevada. We tried to reach out to the Shobans to find out how many fish they plan to take from the South Fork this year, but so far have not heard back. For Idaho Backroads, I'm Steve Liebenthal.